Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to Cafecito Podcast. For those of you guys returning, welcome. My name is Pinky. And let's have a conversation. Go ahead and take a seat at my table. Now, this is something that a lot of you guys have been reaching out to me when it comes talking about manifestations, when it comes to manifesting or bringing into, right, integrating the law of attraction and the law of assumption into your everyday routine to manifest the experiences, the relationships, the connections, whatever the job that you're trying to draw into your life. And I figured, you know what, let's make an episode where we can really get into it um, and help you guys understand it in a more easy, effortless way of understanding, right? And I do want to quickly mention this is why it's so important, you guys, to work and to do your shadow work. Because shadow work, essentially, what it is addressing certain traumas and certain limited beliefs that we carry from childhood into our adulthood that therefore continuously keeps, I guess, that we keep experiencing, right, in our reality, in our existence here in the present moment. And it has everything, absolutely everything to do with what you believe about yourself. So, this is why shadow work is very important. But we're going to get into it. So, go ahead and get your water, get your tea, get your whiskey, your wine, whatever you're into, and have a seat at the table. I have my water bottle as your girl has been fasting and we're still fasting. So, but let's get into it. So, essentially, manifesting is the understanding of the power that you possess by the simple essence of being human. It is in your birthright, it is in your DNA, it is how you were created and why you were created, right? We are spirits living a human experience. So when we talk about energy, right? Energy essentially could never, ever be destroyed. It can never be destroyed. So essentially, you are an energy, right? A spiritual energy that is encapsulated in your capsule, meaning your body. But the limit of what you're capable of doing, making, or creating is limitless because you are a spiritual being. So, essentially, one of the reasons why we come here to have this human experience is to be able to experience unconditional love. Why? Because this is the highest form of energy. And the other reason is to learn that there is essentially nothing you cannot create because you are a creative being. Like I said, it is wired, it is in your DNA. It is why you have the capabilities of thinking. It is why you have the capabilities of imagining. So, when you learn to see yourself as who you really are, right? Awakening and stepping into your power, then you have a better understanding of the reality of this life. And the reality is there is no reality but the one you create. So when people say, wherever attention goes, energy flows, what does that mean? That means that if you hold a thought in your mind, right, long enough, That's where that energy begins to strengthen, to expand, right? And ultimately, that's what creates your reality. Now, your reality may be different from your partner's reality. Your reality may be very different from your neighbor's reality. Every mind is a world. Every mind is a universe in itself. And this is why, as an example, when you are experiencing, or I should say, when you are living an experience with someone else and you guys are having the exact same experience, both of you are going to have two very different views and perceptions of what you've seen or what you experienced, right? This is why, as an example, when you're growing up as a kid, you were raised with your brothers or your sisters, right? And your perception of that childhood is when you have those open conversations, you realize that your experiences were very different, right? And the reason for it is because every person is experiencing life from their point of view. So, like I said, my experience may be very different from my other sisters or my brother's experience, which it turns out that it was very different. Um, and it's because every person that is living is experiencing life unfold from their point of view. So, when you learn to look at things from this perspective, from the perspective that you are spiritual before you are human, that you are energy, and energy can never be destroyed, energy could never be diminished, it can only expand, right? When you understand this, it means that you essentially have no limit. So, Pinky, where do the limits come in? Or why has my life has always been about limits, right? Essentially, because from your point of view, those are the experiences you've had to the point where your brain or your mind has accepted those limits. And essentially where I'm going with this is the understanding, right? Just the simple notion that you are energy, that you are spiritual before being physical. And everything in this universe is connected. That means that you are connected with everyone that has ever been, that will ever be, or that will be. It's our consciousness, right? And our consciousness is connected to our mind. So when you understand that you have no limits, then the human brain will quickly say, well, if I didn't have no limits, I would be able to be experiencing this or living that or doing this or doing that. Why am I not experiencing that? Or why am I not having that? Or why is that not my reality? And it comes down, what it boils down to is what you believe you're capable of doing or what you're capable of being or what you think you are. See, before ego is involved, an ego is a necessity that is created out of self-preservation. Whatever it is, traumas, experiences, difficulties that you've experienced in life since early childhood, your ego is created as a form to protect you, right? It's the same thing as your mind. Your mind is going to limit you based on your belief system to protect you. This is why there's a lot of people that, you know, never really try. They have dreams and aspirations, but they never really try. It's like they psych themselves out of it because their brain is like, you wouldn't be able to do that, or you're not capable of it, or it starts to trigger your doubts and fears, because essentially what it's doing, it's protecting you from that pain or that being let down or whatever. So when we understand this, you are energy. You are connected to everything that there is, there has been, there will be, ever was. Essentially, what that means is that the power in understanding that you are living right now, this very second, this very moment, whatever your experiences are in life, whatever you're going through, whatever you're struggling, whatever you're having difficulty with right now, has a lot to do with your beliefs about yourself. Point blank, period. Now, I understand people will be like, well, of course, I wouldn't want to go through this situation or through this difficulty or traumas, right? I went through such traumatic experience. I wouldn't purposely put myself through that, whatever. The reality is, it is really difficult to look at ourselves in the mirror and to have to take self-responsibility for the life we are experiencing, especially if it is a life that is of lack, especially if it is a life of difficulty and struggle. And, but it does come down to that. Now, if I told you today that your God or your deity or whatever higher being you believe in is living and dwelling within you, and it is integrated into you and who you are, the question here then is there anything, as an example, quote unquote, is there anything that God cannot do? Is there anything that your deity cannot do? If the answer is no, then there's absolutely nothing in this world and in this life that you cannot do. Why? Because you are everything that has been, will be, and has ever been. You are godly. By the simple fact that you came into this lifetime, in this very second, in this very moment, you are living, breathing. You are godly. You are divine, which is why you're having a human experience. Now, when I say that it is important and crucial to work through shadow work, it is because since early childhood, since we are kids, since we are babies, and we're learning to walk, and we fall and we trip, and we are taught, don't do that, don't do this, no, yes, right? So your mind starts to create limiting beliefs. You're growing up and your kids, I mean, you're growing up and your parents are telling you, you want a candy, you want a toy at the store, there's no money, or money doesn't grow on trees, or, you know, whatever it is. You are growing up and you are nurturing that aspect, that belief system. And all life is faith. Whether it's faith in you, whether it's faith in outside of you, whether it's faith, it is faith. If you do not find that, then this is where you meet people that are just living day by day without purpose, because that's what it comes down to. Now, when we talk about manifestations, this is why I encourage you guys to do shadow work. Because even if you grew up in the most healthiest of homes, even if you grew up in the most loving of homes, there are still self-limiting beliefs that you are holding on to, that are affecting your current reality, that are affecting your capabilities. People that that grow up in certain neighborhoods or that grow up in certain environments, right? They are so attached. And again, we talk about ego. Ego is not necessarily a bad thing. Ego is just created in our mind to protect us. So these people that have grown up to certain backgrounds, certain environments, certain whatever you want to call it, their ego is so connected to that when they start to grow and they start to desire and want and do better, right? You often find them struggling to let go of the past. And when I say the past, I'm talking about friends, people that they grew up with. They want to get away from a certain type of lifestyle, as an example, because they want to do better. But their ego is so connected to that of where they feel comfortable because that's where they grew up, that they struggle with that. And then there's the ones that know better, right? But I'm just giving you guys as an example. Though all of that is self-limiting beliefs. When you are raised or brought up in a certain environment, that is the environment that you know. That is the only thing you know. So as you grow up, believe it or not, on a subconscious level, your mind is seeking that comfort. It is seeking, it doesn't matter if it was toxic or if it was beautiful, it doesn't matter. Your brain is trying to connect to that because it is home, right? It is comfortable. It is your safe place. Even if you grew up in the most toxic of environments, as an adult, on a subconscious level, you will connect with people that live that lifestyle or that have that belief systems or that live that type of lifestyle, because that's what you connect to. This is why I often tell my clients and my followers, you are not the past and you are not what happened to you. You are what overcame that. So when we're talking about essentially here, we're talking about the manifestation process, right? But the reason why I'm hitting these points is because it's very important to understand that in order for you to get to a point of being able to manifest in a very powerful way, you have to let go of the shit that's holding you back. And the only way to do that is to go all the way to the back, meaning all the way to the past. It is to get to the bottom, to the root of things that continuously keep coming up in your life. Because I'll tell you something. I often hear clients tell me, Pinky, why do I keep attracting toxic partners? Or why do I keep attracting unavailable people? Why do I keep attracting, etc., things that they don't want to attract? And the reason is there is a part of you that is unavailable. There is a part of you that is toxic. Like can only attract like. You can never attract a healthy, loving, nurturing relationship or partner if you don't have that towards yourself. So I really want you guys to listen to this episode, to keep an open mind, and to really think about it because it'll start to make sense. It's like I said, like attracts like. You could never attract anything that is outside of your energy. This is why when you are an extremely bubbly, loving, genuine, authentic person, this is why the moment you meet someone and they just feel off, or you just feel like you can't trust them, or you just feel the reason for that is because you're feeling their vibration, you're feeling their energy. And positive can never attract negative, and vice versa. So when you keep repeating a cycle in your life, whether it's in career, whether it's in your relationships, whether it's in your family dynamic, whatever it is, if there is a theme that continuously keeps coming up in your life and it's almost like, here we go again, or I keep going through the same shit over and over, I keep experiencing the same outcome, the reason why is because essentially the universe is trying to teach you something about yourself. So if you have a tendency of attracting people that are emotionally unavailable, as an example, there is a part of you that is unavailable. There is a part of, no matter how bad you want a relationship, there is a part of you that is emotionally unavailable. Because if you weren't, you would be attracting people that are available, that are emotionally healthy. It's the same thing as an example when clients come to me and tell me, I keep going from job to job and I just can't seem to grow in that company. Um, it's like I always experience blockages. There is a part of you that doesn't want essentially what you're desiring. So the way I'm going to break it down to you guys is I'm going to try to make it as simplistic as possible. You need to learn to see life moving forward. If anything, take this from this episode. You need to learn to see life from within, not from outside of you. And the reason I say this is because everyone in your life right now, everyone that is in your life, everyone that you deal with, even your partner, even if you're in that relationship that doesn't have a label, even if everyone that is in your life right now, in this very instant, in this very moment in your life, good or bad, right? Because we all have people that we deal with that, you know, sometimes they're really easy to deal with and other ones are not. Everyone outside of you is you pushed out. So, what do I mean by this? That partner that you are wanting emotional availability from, but they just can't seem to give you that commitment, or they can't seem to open up to you, or you are a reflection of them. And the reason why they are the way they are is because they are only reflecting you. So, this is where understanding that life is from your point of view. People go about life always thinking life is outside of them, right? You hear it all the time. When people say, it's like life is coming at you. No, it's not coming at you. Life is coming through you because you are the one that is deciding the roles that people are playing in your life based on your perception, based on your idea of them. So when clients come to me and tell me, Pinky, I've been dealing with this person for 4 years. Till this day, there's no commitment. Till this day, there's no labels. Till this day, whatever, whatever. And it's like, if they can only do this, if they can only, you know, tell me the truth and stop holding on to something if nothing's going to come from it, da 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 da. The thing is, it's not them, it's you. You are the one that has assigned them that role based on your perception of them. So, what I'm saying is, if you're dealing with someone, right, that you've been with, let's just say for 2 years, and obviously they're still there, right? There is a part of you that is not allowing that distancing to break away so that you guys can come closer or so that you guys can connect. There is a part of you that they are only mirroring, whether you're aware of it or not. A lot of the times we do this shit on a subconscious level, but that's what it is. So because you got close to this person, they initially told you they weren't looking for anything serious. You kind of try to convince yourself you're okay with it. Then you fell for them. Then you kept dealing with them. Then you allowed it to progress and time passed, but there's no labels, there's no commitment, there's no marriage, whatever. essentially there's a part of you that doesn't want that commitment. Because if that person is still dealing with you, it's because that person is connected to you. Again, going back to we are all connected. The moment you decide this person is unattainable, you put them on a pedestal. You put them in this untouchable position. And then your brain believes it. So your brain continuously keeps feeling or making you feel like you have to prove yourself to this person. When in reality, all it takes is for you to decide the role that they're going to play in your life. And like I said, this is not just partnerships. This is relationships. This is connections. This is with everyone that is in your life. With everyone. I'm sure there's people that you've come across that you can get along with at all, right? If your life depended on it, they just don't sit well with you. But think about it. Someone that is capable of making you feel uncomfortable, someone that is capable of making you feel a certain type of way, that's your spirit trying to tell you something. And I assure you, it has nothing to do with the outside of you. It has something to do from within you. See, and even myself, I experienced this many, many years ago. And I started asking those bigger questions. Okay, why does this person and their present affect me? Why do I feel some type of way? Where is this coming from? And then I came to the realization that a lot of their being loud and being obnoxious was something that was suppressed within me that triggered me. I always have to be, or at least I carry myself always to be in the best behavior. And there was a part of me that wanted to be free, wanted to not care, wanted to be loud and obnoxious. I didn't understand that, which is why I started internalizing and I came to the realization of that. So if you think about it, the universe is only mirroring back to you what you believe about yourself or what you don't believe about yourself. Like you know, like the example I just gave. When you meet someone and their personality triggers you, they're teaching you something. And it's not them, it's you. You are forcing yourself to look at yourself and to be icked by it or to be irked by it or to feel something so that then you can internalize what is it about them that is triggering me because obviously it's trying to teach me something about myself. That's what it comes down to. So when we talk about manifestations, I get clients all the time messaging me, Pinky, I bought your books, I bought your journals, and I've been, and it almost seems to happen, but then something happens where I kind of take 3 steps backwards. And I tell them, it comes down to you not believing that you can attain that. That's what it comes down to. Because and again, we go back to the conversation of learning to see life from your point of view. We live a life of constantly having the need, and I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. I've heard it all the time. I don't care what people think of me. I don't care what people think of me. But chances are 90% of the time, people always care. They care to a certain degree. And a lot of the decisions, a lot of the things that we do, a lot of the time, the way we move in life has everything to do with the expectations that people have on us or the expectations that we have for ourselves to prove ourselves to other people outside of us. And that's not the way to manifest. The way to manifest is understanding that you are it. You are all. You are everything. Everything you want is not outside of you, it's within you. It's learning to find that within you. So then the universe could mirror back to you that same frequency, that same energy. So when we talk about understanding the roles that people play in your life, like I said, the best way of describing it, and the reason I say this is because I deal with a lot of clients that have a lot to do with love, right? With love. So the best way of describing it is, like I said, if you've been dealing with someone for a year and they're still there, obviously there's a connection. So the question is not why don't they want commitment? The question should be why don't I want commitment? Because it always comes back to you. You are the root cause of everything. Everything you're experiencing, everything you accept, everything you put boundaries on, or everything you don't put boundaries on. Everything outside of you is only a mirror of you. So understanding this is realizing it's never about anyone outside of you. It is always about you. When you're dating someone and you know that they're emotionally unavailable and you are going above and beyond, constantly trying to prove yourself to them, what you're essentially saying is that you feel like you're not worthy of that person. So you have to compensate or overcompensate. And essentially what you're doing is repelling that person from you. Now, if you bring the point of view from your point of view, right? If you start to see yourself as the main character in your story, because guess what? That's what it is. You are the creator. You are creating every day. You are the director, the producer of your own life. And everyone outside of you are just characters. And they are characters that are playing a role that you've assigned to them. So understanding this is a very powerful thing because it's like I said, I have clients tell me, I've been working at this company and the boss, this one person that is in charge of me going up and getting a raise or what, they just don't like me. They don't like me and they go out of their way to make it so difficult. And it's like, no matter how hard I try, I just can't seem to impress them. I tell them, well, the reason why is because you don't think you're worthy of that position. How can you say that, Pinky, if I'm going above and beyond? That's my point. You're trying to overcompensate for something that there's a part of you that feels like you're not deserving or like someone else deserves it more than you. No, but that's not how I think. Oh, yeah, it is. Energetically, it is. And if you think that that person doesn't like you, guess what's going to happen? That person's not going to like you because you've decided that. See, your experience is unfolding based on your perception of it. So why, instead of stressing and putting all your focus and energy towards them not liking you, why don't you decide that moving forward, they're going to like you because they have no other option, because you're deciding that, and you're deciding that moving forward. And you stick to those fucking guns and you continuously keep telling yourself that every day when you wake up in the morning before you go to work. Every day before you walk in the office, you say that out loud. So and so loves to work with me. So and so sees how amazing I am at work. So and so loves to get feedback from me. You start to repeat these things to yourself out loud. And what's going to happen is that your brain, on a subconscious level, is going to memorize this. Therefore, it will unfold. It will manifest. And I've given clients these exercises and they see changes within 7 days. Why? Because we're so fixated on thinking that life is happening again at us, but it's not. It's happening from us. The same thing with the relationship example. The moment you decide this person is going to play a role because they are a character in my story, and this character is begging and wanting commitment from me because they see my worthiness, because they see how amazing I am, because they see how great a partner I am. And you keep telling yourself this repeatedly, and what's going to happen is that your subconscious will record this. And see, the thing about it is that it's not only connecting on a subconscious level is connecting the subconscious to the emotion. Because once you can do that, you are, boom, in alignment. See, the brain doesn't distinguish between you imagining shit and something that your brain is connecting to memory. It doesn't know how to distinguish that. So the reason why we connect with memories, right? The reason why we're able to look back at the past and think of like great moments that we've experienced is because there's an emotion connected to that. So then think of it as the wires of your brain is connecting to something that already happened. So when you're talking about manifestations, it's not just, I have people tell me all the time, I've been doing my, affirmations for like over a year and nothing has happened. Well, you can do affirmations all your life and nothing will happen. It's the same thing as, saying things out loud for 6 months and nothing happens. Why? Because your brain is not connecting it as a memory. You have to connect your desired your desired outcome to what you're envisioning, visualizing, and connecting it to emotion. And then when you're able to do both, it will sync up and create a memory door in your subconscious that therefore will receive it as something that has already been experienced. Therefore, it's going to unfold because the universe is only mirroring our point of view. So when people are struggling financially, and I've had clients come to me and they're at the brink of losing their business or going out of business, and they are desperate. They are like, every day, like it's just a constant struggle of continuously, fighting to keep the doors open in my business. And like, nothing is happening and I'm about to lose it. I don't know what to do. And I teach them these exercises, right? And they look at me like I'm crazy. But they stick to that and they start to see changes and they start to see progress and they start to see. The thing about it is that when I say there are no limits to your mind, there is no limits to what your mind can think and achieve. It comes down to what you believe you're capable of doing. So as an example, if you, let's say you've been trying to manifest $1 million and you've been doing it for a year and nothing's happened, right? You haven't even seen an increase, nothing, and you're frustrated. The reason why you're experiencing that is because either what you're trying to manifest, you haven't connected to it fully on an emotional level. Therefore, your brain can receive it as reality. Or your brain, your mind thinks that you're so delusional that it can't happen. So it doesn't happen. So this is why I tell clients whenever you're trying to manifest a specific amount of money, for example, I encourage them to start small. And I don't mean like, small, small. So as an example, if they're trying to achieve making $1 million for their business, right? I start to ask them, okay, and what is it that you need to make, as an example, every month to keep your business going? And then they add that number, okay? And what is it that you have experienced up until now, what you have made in a month? And then they write that down, okay? So what do you think is more realistic? Because what's realistic to me may not be realistic to you. And that is the thing about manifesting. You can only manifest what you feel you're capable or deserving of. This is why shadow work is so important, you guys. So they tell me, okay, so let's just say out of $1 million, what I think I would be able to achieve would be 500,000 in a year. Okay. And that's what is realistic in their mind. So then we break it down, and then I tell them, try to focus on this specific amount every month, right? That totaling up to 12 months, you can see that as realistic. And then boom, it happens that way. Why? Because you are the only one that creates your limits, and your limits come based from what you believe you are worthy and deserving of. Now, when I say affirmations, affirmations are extremely important, but I would highly encourage affirmations for self because, like I said, there is, I'll give you an example. When I had a client that came to me and, you know, their whole life was nothing but struggle and difficulties, and, their average, let's just say, was 27,000 every year, right? And they were struggling and it was really difficult when he first came to me. We started getting to the bottom, to the root of understanding why he felt he wasn't worthy and deserving of money. And as we got deeper into it, it had a lot to do with obviously self-conditioning, right? Early childhood conditioning. He's seen his parents struggle, his parents seen their grandparents struggle. So it was a generational thing. So then I started asking him to do affirmations and mirror magic, right? Speaking to yourself in the mirror, things that you have to connect again emotionally. And we started small, right? With I am worthy and I am deserving of good things in life. I am worthy and deserving of experiencing opportunities because I'm a hard worker. That was something realistic for him. And the word here, when I say realistic, I don't mean realistic to my expectations. I mean realistic to what your brain is capable of seeing as realistic. See, because you can sit here and tell me, Pinky, try to manifest $1,000 in a day. Try to manifest $1,000 by tomorrow. And my brain doesn't see that as a challenge. I see it as, okay, when I go to bed, I'll wake up to that. And the reason, obviously, because I've been doing this for so long, but that's not my point. My point is you want to be realistic to what your capabilities are as of right now. So for me to tell him, you know what, you're going to go from 27,000 to 50,000 by the end of the year. To him, that wasn't realistic because he had never experienced more than 27,000. Do you get where I'm going with this? So I had to start small, teaching him to do mirror magic, to tell himself in the mirror every day in the morning, I am worthy and deserving of good things. I am worthy and deserving of opportunities because I'm a hard worker. Why would I use that specific word? Because I'm a hard worker. Because he did see himself as a very hard worker. So his brain is going to pick that up as a reality. It's a true statement. It's what his experience has been. So once we started getting into that, he started to notice opportunities start to open up. He started noticing, he was getting more hours, longer hours. And then we started working on the hard working part, right? Because you got to keep in mind, whatever it is that we are bringing in, that's exactly what's coming in. So, yes, he started making more money, more opportunities started to come in because he was worthy and deserving. And he was starting to believe that, but also hard working, right? So, he had to work for that. So, if you tell me, uh, Pinky, can you make today is what? Today is Wednesday. Can you make I don't know, 10,000 by the end of Friday? My brain is going to pick that up as a definite yes, but someone else's experience is not going to be the same way. Do you get where I'm going with this? You got to work with where you're at right now. And it doesn't mean that this is where people's manifestations falter or where they lack that actual manifestation because you are uh, not believing it. That's what it comes down to. So the moment he started getting all of these opportunities and more money, more hours, right? I started telling him, and because you're such a hard worker, you don't need to work hard because the universe is going to continuously keep blessing you in the most unexpected ways. So he started doing this mantra every day before going to bed and before waking up, or I should say after waking up, before, washing his teeth or whatever, looking at himself in the mirror. I want to say sometime in June or July, he hit the 50 something mark, which again, in the past, he hadn't passed 27. So he hit that 57, right? And the year wasn't even done. So his belief system about himself started growing, right? And the more it started to grow, the more opportunities he got. He started to expand. He started to open his own business. Now he has 4 businesses. My point is, when you want to manifest, you don't want to be ridiculous about it. And I say ridiculous because there's no such thing as ridiculousness when it comes to manifesting. But I use this word as like a chin check, right? To check you into the realization that if your experience has been very different from the outcome that you're asking for, you have to close that gap. That gap has to be closed so that therefore you can manifest from point A to point B. And the only way to do that is to work with what your brain is capable of comprehending that you're capable of doing. Because I assure you that when you start this manifestation journey, you're going to be blown away if you can connect your imagination, visualization to your emotion. You will start to experience those manifestations happen. And obviously, the more you start to do this, the more you realize truly the power that you have. And the more power you have, the more you experience, the more you create, the more your confidence grows. And the more your confidence grows, the more you want to attain. And the more you experience, there is no limit, is what I'm saying. But you don't want to push the boundary of limits when you are limited in your state of mind at this point. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you're working on manifesting, you got to manifest what your mind is going to take as realistic. See, someone that's never experienced, let's say someone that's never had a business, right? And their dream has always been to be running $1 million business. If they've never experienced that, if they don't even know what it is to run a business, if they don't even understand like any type of concept of that, it doesn't mean that you're not capable. If you can connect to the emotion, you can definitely manifest that. But it's going to take longer. Now, if you can connect realistically, right? Because we are living in a 3D realm. What does that mean? That we create our own limits. So you got to work with what you got right now, what your mind is capable of accepting as realistic. And that's how you manifest, connecting, those visualizations, those desires, those wants, that intensity, that's passion. You connect that to emotion. You're excited, you're thrilled, you can't wait. You start to walk, you start to talk very confident because you know that you are stepping into that timeline of whatever it is that you're trying to experience. You connect that and it happens. It happens. But you got to accept it as reality. I had a conversation with a friend of mine that, as an example, um, their child has aspirations and desires. And they felt like they were so close and about to hit, a breakthrough. And then they felt like that opportunity just kind of slipped through their hands. And I told them, well, I think that it has a lot to do with what they think they're capable of making happen. And he was like, no, like she's worked really hard and, you know, And I'm like, yeah, but there is a part of her that thinks that she went unnoticed or that she went um, overlooked, whatever the situation. There's something in her mind that is replaying that is making her feel or making her think like they didn't, like she didn't leave a lasting impression. And instead of doing that, why not encourage her to sit there and to visualize the experience she already had by being around them and dealing with them, and to get excited and to put all that focus in the memory that she has of that experience, and telling herself and reminding herself how magnetic she is and how unforgettable she is, and how her energy is so enticing, and how her energy is so magnetic, and how her energy is unforgettable, that they will reach out to her. And because she already experienced that, reliving that in your mind, except instead of connecting it to a negative scenario, meaning they forgot about her or they didn't overlooked her, whatever, instead of doing that, why not learn to see things from your point of view? Who cares how they seen it? Your point of view is that you were amazing, you were magnetic, your energy is addicting, and you're not going to go unnoticed. And that's the power of our mind. So my point to this is that we are so much in our heads that whenever we experience something or whenever we feel like we missed an opportunity, we're constantly thinking of the fuck ups we did, right? And instead of doing that, because essentially what you're doing is you are telling the universe, I want you to mirror back the disappointment, right? Because I'm sad, I'm disappointed. So guess what's going to happen? That's going to be your reality. You're going to be disappointed. So instead of teaching your brain to do that, why not put your energy and effort towards what was your experience? What did you experience in that moment? I was excited. I was connecting with people of power. I was connecting with people that can definitely open doors for me. I was amazing. My energy was super vibing. I had an amazing time. I was present. My energy is magnetic. My energy is unforgettable. You keep telling yourself that while you connect to that memory. And I assure you, this is what we call about revising. When you are revising something, what does this mean? This means that you're playing out a scenario that already happened in your mind, except you're deciding from your perspective how shit's going to go. And the moment you start to do this, the moment you start teaching yourself this, the moment you realize, because you will realize, you will see how shit starts to turn around to your favor and how things start to go your way, that you're going to be amazed at truly the power that you have to not only manifest, but to decide and to dictate how your life is going to go. See, the thing about it is, it's the same thing as when I'm dealing with clients that are in the dating aspect, right? That they're like, I was so like consumed. I thought the date was going amazing, and then I don't hear from them. They ghosted me. And I've been rethinking, reliving this experience. Yeah, and they've been nothing but worrying. Why? Because to their perspective, they weren't good enough, so they have to keep going through this scenario of what they experienced, looking and basically judging themselves instead of learning to sit there for a moment and see it from your point of view. Was it a good date? Did you have a good time? Were you enjoying their company? Did you enjoy the conversation? Do you even like them? You start to do these things, and essentially what you're doing is you're putting yourself on a pedestal. It's no longer up to them, it is up to you, and you're the one that is weeding out, right? You're the one that decides, are they worthy of you or not? Do you vibe or not? You're no longer making them, right? You're no longer making the, or I should say, you're no longer allowing them to dictate how it's going to play out. You're the one that is going to do that. The moment you start to do this, you start to realize truly how powerful you are. You start to realize, I didn't know I had that power. We are so, like I said, I hear this all the time with people saying, I don't care what people think. I don't care this. I don't care. They do. They do. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't have the constant need to worry about how they were received. And this is all we do. When you go to that interview, right? And you're so nervous and then you're unsure if it went well, if it didn't, because you weren't able to read them. It's always outside of you, right? Your worry and concern, it's always outside of you. It's always people outside of you. When reality is that they are only an extension of you. You're the one that decides. Did they like you? And see, this is where shadow work is very important. If you think you're an unlikable person, you can't convince your mind of otherwise until you teach or trick your mind into believing that you are likable. If your experience has always been that, I hear this with clients that relationships, they always fall apart because they always leave me, Pinky. Well, because you decided that's what your story is. The moment you decide you are worth keeping and you start to treat yourself as someone worth keeping, everyone else is going to fall in line. Everyone is an extension of you. Everyone is mirroring back to you how you feel and how you think about yourself. See, this is why shadow work and self-love is so important. And this is why I encourage, if you guys follow me on Snapchat, I'm always talking about it. If you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm constantly telling you guys, you know, when we talk about spells and stuff like that, this is why I encourage, when clients come to me and they want to do a love working on someone, I obviously look into the situation, but a lot of the times I'll be like, you know what? Why not do a glamour spell? Why not do a self-love spell for yourself? And the reason for that is because ultimately it is how you see yourself, how you view yourself, that everyone else will fall in line. If you feel like your experience has always been that they leave you, right? I shouldn't say your brain has convinced you that that is what is going to unfold every single time. And every single time you start to notice a little bit of changes, you go into panic mode, anxiety, and you start to have this snowball effect of thinking the end. And guess what happens? The end. So you got to learn to see things not from their perspective, but from your perspective. Why? Because, like I said, you are the director and the producer of your life. You are the one that decides. You are the one that hands these roles to each one in your life, and they play those roles accordingly. That is how it happens. That is how it is. Think about it. Let's say you're going in for an interview and it's the job of your dreams, right? Something you've been dreaming about, you've been wanting, you've been desiring. Why do you have so much anxiety? Because you really want it, right? There's a part of you that really wants it. And in another timeline, essentially, you've already experienced that, which is why your soul recognizes that that's what it desires, because you've already experienced that. We'll get into that in another episode, but you want it, right? So you're worried and you're concerned, thinking everyone is outside of you. So you go in there and you're trying to put the best foot forward and you're trying to be the best you possibly can, having this constant need of proving yourself without realizing I need to be present. I'm walking into this interview with power because I am deciding that they are going to love my energy, that they are going to see me as the exact person that will get this job done. They are going to be so thrilled to hire me because they know how bad I want this job and how good I'm going to be at it. And they love like pumping yourself up, basically. But again, you're removing the focus on people outside of you and you're putting the focus on yourself. And by you doing this, what essentially is happening is that you're taking the power that you've given away and you're bringing it back to yourself. And you're putting that limelight on you because you are the one meant to put yourself on a pedestal. And the moment you understand this, the moment you realize this, everyone else will too. And everything falls in line. That opportunity that you think you missed, instead of worrying yourself to the point of anxiety, why not think in a positive way? Why not obsess over how amazing that experience was and how excited they are and how unforgettable you are that they're going to reach out, that they're going to call you, that they're going to bring you up the moment you decide that's what you want. It's the same thing with relationships, you guys. You've been dealing with someone that doesn't want to give you commitment. Up until now, you've put them in a pedestal. You took yourself out of that pedestal and you put them on the pedestal. Why? Because you have a constant need of proving yourself to them. Knock them off that pedestal. Realize they're here for a reason. They're here because obviously I'm fucking amazing. Why wouldn't they want to be with me? Why wouldn't they want to be committed to me? Why wouldn't they want commitment from me? I'm so amazing. Of course, they're going to be scared of losing me. Of course, they're going to be threatened by someone else swooping me up. See, it's no longer about things outside of you, it's about you. The moment you learn to see life this way, everything is going to change for you. Absolutely everything is going to change for you. You are capable of turning your life around in a matter of seconds. And I know that by me saying this, for a lot of you, it's going to be like, okay, seconds. But yes, seconds. And why do I say seconds? Because when it comes to manifesting, when it comes to the spiritual aspect, when it comes to who we really are, spiritual beings, there is no time, there is no space, there is no nothing, because we are all connected. It is us, the ones that decide, right? It's like I said, the more powerful you become at manifesting, the more your confidence grows. The more your confidence grows, the more you believe in your capabilities, and it'll happen overnight. But you got to get yourself there. And again, you can start small. Decide that tomorrow when you go into work, someone's going to give you free coffee. Or decide that someone's going to give you, be specific, decide that someone's going to give you a Starbucks coffee. Start small. Start where your mind can accept that as realistic and work yourself up. This is how we work on our confidence. This is where we work on our self-concept. And it all comes down to shadow work. You got to do the shadow work in order to start building on yourself and your confidence. See, a lot of the times when, I don't know if you guys have ever been around someone that is extremely confident, but I can tell you something. I've come across a lot of people that were threatened by the way I carried myself, or were threatened by the confidence that I radiate, right? And it's not that I go out of my way to prove myself to anyone. It has more to do with me understanding the power that I possess. And I'm unapologetic about it at this point. I used to apologize for it, not anymore. Um, and I wouldn't understand, right? Because I would be like, well, why are they acting this way? And I'm talking about people that I would feel, again, our perception, right? I would feel they had nothing to be threatened about. And I quickly came to realize it is our perception, it is what we think, right? And when we are so focused on things outside of us, it's like we give our power away. And going back to this, let me give you an example. I've had clients tell me, Pinky, I don't know what it is about me, but every time I'm around friends or every time we go out, it's like everyone gets noticed. It's like everyone gets attention except me. Well, there's a part of you that doesn't want to be seen. Well, of course I do. I get home and I'm very depressed and I'm sad because I didn't get no attention, no nothing. And the bigger question is, why are you seeking validation outside of you? Do you feel you're worthy of attention? Do you feel like you are someone that stands out? And they're like, whoa, that's kind of rude. No, essentially get to the root of it. Do you feel like you're a person that would stand out? No. Okay. So then work on that. Work on doing things that are going to make you feel noticed, not outside of you, but on yourself, for yourself, right? As an example, I had a client that, their career has a lot to do with like the music industry and stuff. And um, that was one of their things, right? One of their issues that they just wouldn't get noticed. So I started encouraging her to do things that make her feel beautiful, that make her feel admired. And I don't mean outside of herself, I mean within herself, right? How can you sit there and be like, oh, you know, I want this, position or this higher position um, when you don't feel great about yourself, when you don't carry yourself feeling great about yourself? You get what I'm saying? You have to step into the power and the energy of what you want to vibrate. And in order to do that, you got to get your ass out of whatever comfort zone you're in and go out of your way to make yourself, listen to me, make yourself feel wanted, feel admired, feel beautiful, feel like you stand out, whatever it is. If what you're working on is your self concept and you want to be noticed, you can't expect yourself to be noticed when you're walking around with dirty ass shoes and the sweats that you've been wearing for the past whole week. Like, obviously, that's not going to happen, right? You got to do things for yourself to make you feel what you want to experience. An exercise that I teach my clients when we're talking about people that deal with a lot of people, right? When you have to go to meetings, you have to, bump elbows with people that you are trying to start a career or you're trying to go up the ladder or stuff like that. One of the exercises I teach them is the Marilyn Monroe effect, right? And it is an exercise that you do before going to bed where you visualize yourself surrounded by this gold light around you. And every time you go into a space, whether it's, the office, you're envisioning the conference room, whatever, you envision this energy surrounding you and you start to feel the power of that confidence, of that trust within yourself, of being open to being seen, of being open to be admired. You do this for a while, and your subconscious is going to take that as a reality. And next time you are actively in a conference room or you are actively being introduced to people, you picture yourself radiating that energy, and boom, people are going to remember you. People are going to call you. People are going to want to interview you. Why? Because you've been working. This is self-concept. This is when you start to work on yourself and teach yourself to put yourself on a pedestal. See, what people don't understand is that when we're talking, and it's not even romance, I'm talking about career, I'm talking about, the people around us, the people we deal with. It never has to do, it never has to do with the physical aspect, with the physical appearance. It is always energy, you guys. That's what it comes down to. Energy. And what is energy? The energy you're vibrating to. So if you want to be noticed, as an example, or you're trying to get, and I'm only speaking for those that really struggle when it comes to dating, right? If you want to be noticed, or you want to feel what it feels like to be chosen, or you want to feel what it's like to have suitors or to have people craving and fiending for your attention, you got to do the self-concept work. You got to work on yourself. You got to learn to put yourself on that pedestal. You got to learn to get yourself to the state of mind where you know you are fucking amazing, where you know that the moment you decide you want to be seen, you get yourself into that gold aura around you energy. You'll notice that you start to strain your back more. Your confidence goes up, right? Because you're open energetically. You're open to receiving, to being receptive. Once you do that, you'll see them crawling to you. You'll see them stepping in. Why do you think people that are, let's just say, ladies, man, or women that are really good at flirting, right? And dealing with multiple people, why do you think they're so good at it? A lot of the times, and I assure you, a lot of the times, they're not as attractive as you would think they would be, right? But they just have that aura around them. Why, where do you think that comes from? From practice, from the fact that they've done it so much that their brain like they don't understand rejection. They don't know what rejection is. The moment you can get yourself into that vibration, you won't get rejected anymore. And it comes down to what you believe about yourself. And this is in every single aspect of your life. Whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, whatever it is that you're trying to make happen, whatever it is that you're trying to experience, you will not manifest, you will not experience things that you cannot feel deserving and worthy of. That's what it comes down to. You are a reflection. Everything comes from within you. Ultimately, that's what it is. You understand these concepts, you put them into practice, you make it a habit, and I assure you, your life is going to make a 180. I am living proof of that. And you guys know, if you've been following me for a long time, you know that I'm all about sharing. I'm all about giving you guys not crock of, you know what, but I am actually teaching you guys things that I've put into practice, that I have learned to master, that I have created and I have experienced. And you're capable of doing the exact same thing. It comes down, you guys, to faith. Again, a lot of the times we as humans have a tendency of thinking everything is outside of us. So we put that power and that divinity or that greatness into a God, into a deity, into whatever your belief system is. But ultimately, what it is, if we are all connected, is having faith in yourself. That's what it comes down to. That's what it is. And do whatever is necessary to get you from that point A to that point B. If you got to trust of something outside of you, trust in God, right? If you got to trust in a deity that is going to make you feel like it's going to get you from point A to point B, then trust in that. But ultimately, if you understand energy, if you understand the power that you have for being a spiritual being, having a human experience, then you understand you're not disconnected from anything that is divine. You are divine. You are godly. Therefore, divinity is you. And you are the one that creates. You are the one that decides. You are the one that chooses how things will unfold, how things are going to be, what you're going to experience. See, in the very beginning, and I'm talking to you guys many years ago, I had to believe in things outside of myself. So I put my trust and my faith in my God and in my saints, right? And through time, I've come to the realization that what they've been trying to teach me is exactly that they are within me. I am not separate from them. I am the one that creates. I am the one that makes things happen. But again, you can't go from thinking I am godly or I am divine if you've never had trust or faith in yourself, right? But you want to close that gap. In order to close that gap, you have to believe in what your brain or mind is capable of believing. Even if you have to believe in things outside of yourself, then do so to close that gap. Once you're able to understand that, work on self-concept, do shadow work, work on manifestations, you start to see things unfold, you start to see the magic happen, and you'll build that confidence to the point of understanding you are the one that creates. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, like, comment, let me know below. And we will see each other soon. I hope that this episode gives you some food for thought, gives you the power and the tools that you need to see things from a different perspective and a perspective that is beneficial to you and only you. I will see you guys soon. Till then, bye.